Unite Win Podcast, episode 28. This week I sat down with my good friend Jordan Brill again. Sat down a year ago, sat down again. First ever returning guest on this show. We talked about the tattoo industry. We talked about... It got juicy. I'll tell you this right now. If you are an aspiring tattooer, if you are a tattooer struggling in this industry... There's lots of free game and crazy insight in this episode to share with you. It's too much to get into. It's a long episode. So let's just get into it, dude. What direction do you want this podcast to go? Is there anything you want to talk about in particular?
I'm about to launch an online course.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Damn. You're about to biohack the tat industry? Breaking down the walls? Brill's coming for y'all.
Yeah.
So is that something that's like, I mean, obviously that's a taboo in tattoo. Like for us, is what are you teaching? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, I think that for a long time, to be more likable to the people around me, because I try not to make too many waves.
Right.
You know, I've stayed quite consistent, and I kind of stay in my lane, and I'm just like, I do all these big things, like, but I just like don't advertise them. I feel weird about doing that. Like, I have a brush set with Tattoo Smart, and I like never talked about it online. Like, dude, I spent hundreds of hours making that thing. It's awesome. Like, anybody that buys it, I'm not even like marketing it. I use my own brush set every day. It's such a time saver. I was like, I basically had the equivalent of this on paper when I was drawing on paper.
Right.
But I like never talk about that stuff. And now that I'm getting older, I'm just like, dude, people can't even believe their own BS anymore. Like the people that criticize. Everyone's a hater, right? Because they're not willing to put themselves out there.
Well, it's easy, and you feel vulnerable. Like, it's a way of feeling like you're protecting yourself by somehow like slandering another, you know?
Yeah. And I think you see, like, you know how we talk about how boomers use Facebook?
Yeah.
And it's just all about comment wars. Well, dude, there are plenty of young people my age or younger that, like, you know, are just hating on everything too. So the older I've gotten, the less I care. I've always said that not caring what other people think about me is my superpower. You know, I'm just like, yep, I'm still married to the same chick. I don't want to go to the strip club with you. I still don't do drugs. You know, I still don't drink. I'm just like, so I'm like more comfortable just being honest with people. Like, yep, I'm a Christian. We don't have to get into it, but I'm not going to like lie and tell you I'm not and like pussyfoot around the fact. Right? So what I see happening, and this is like what we talked about in our last podcast, and this is what everyone and their brother's talking about right now, is like, there's this wave of new tattooers, right? And everybody just hates them. But they're like, and there are valid reasons, right, why like we should be mad that they're here. But what I see is I put myself in their shoes. So I'm like, okay, I wish with all my might, if I were freaking Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, I'd be clicking my heels and I'd be like, there's no tattooers but me. There's no tattooers but me. I just wish that like it was the way it used to be, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I see is there's this new generation of tattooers, and I have to assume that some, maybe all of them, but probably not, genuinely want this thing, and they genuinely love it for the right reasons, but they're hamstrung. They have to either pay for an apprenticeship, and then it's probably not going to be good, right? We were just joking about this yesterday.
Right.
Now hiring an apprentice, what the hell does that mean?
Right.
You don't hire an apprentice. They're lucky you're handing them an education, right? So there's that culture, which sucks.
And there's so much information out there, but what it like, They're almost like paralyzed by like was it like paralyzed by options? What's the word they say?
Analysis by paralysis by
That
analysis.
One.
Yes.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're like, okay, how do I get in?
Mm-hmm.
I apprentice. I hope I find a good apprenticeship, but I'll take whatever I can get. Okay,
They just look as like a stepping stone. Like, let me just learn and get the fuck out of here. Yep.
And I'm gonna like crush it someday.
Yep.
But then the problem is they don't realize that they are hamstringing themselves by having a bad apprenticeship. And we all know it's the blind leading the blind right now.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many people I've turned down that are like good, honest, kind, hardworking, diligent young people that want to apprentice under me. And I'm just like, nope, I don't think the world needs another single tattooer. And sorry, but that's my honest opinion. However, I have to put myself in their shoes. When I got into tattooing, I kind of went the back way. I found the back door and I did it. But the culture was different back then. There was still the coil machines and all the things that I love. That was like part of what you would learn. And now the only option is like, well, the mentor is using the pen and the cartridge and they don't know how to paint and they do everything on an iPad. And I guess I'm going to do everything they know because like, how do I learn a coil? You know, it's so foreign, right? So I have an experience where I was at a shop and they said, hey, we're taking on this apprentice. And I was like, I really don't think you should. And they're like, well, we're going to do it anyway. And like, it was the shop's apprentice. Okay. And so I realized really quickly that this person was not going to actually learn the mechanics of tattooing that I know and understand deeply, because that's what I've been diligent about learning, unless this person will not learn this unless I kind of reluctantly say, you know what, if I were in your situation, I would want a good apprenticeship. And so it was like, no matter what everybody else is teaching this person, I'm going to teach him the parts of a coil. We're going to build coils together. I'm going to show him what the characteristics of different needles are. Like, you know, right? You had to learn that. And I'm going to teach him why. And so I made like quizzes of like, these are the parts of the machine. Like, you fill in the blank. Like, what is this? What like I showed like an armature bar and like an armature bar with a notch cut out, right? Just to like mix it up. And I'm like, is this still an armature bar? Yes. What kind of an armature bar is it? And why would it be like that, right? Those types of things. And so that made me, that happened. And then I started thinking about what is really missing for these kids. Like, this magic, like if they're going to the nose hair trimmer and the cartridge and eternal ink, what is left where because they want to be artists. They don't want to be tattooers anymore. They want to be tattoo artists, right?
The craft is secondary. They just want to, like, what's the quickest way to apply a tattoo today? I don't need to know how to do it. I don't know why it works the way it works. I just want to go. They don't want to know. It's like the same as like, you know, I want to play guitar, but I want to learn how to play guitar. You know, it's like I just want to go play rock band and feel like I'm playing guitar.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then you fucking hit the few buttons, turn up, and it's like, electricity. And you're like, I'm fucking rocking right now.
This is a step above air guitar. This is great. You're going from, now they're doing the silicone skin to regular skin. They act like that translates, even though it really doesn't.
I've never even tattooed on silicone skin. I don't know what it even does. I've tattooed like a lighter before, like hard plastic stuff, like fucking around. But
now that translates. Yeah, that translates to like a construction worker in his 30s.
That's the tightest shin ever.
It like blows out. When you go too deep, the lighter just explodes.
I'm worried about that.
Dude, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I've never done that.
No, I did a bunch. It came like a little hustle for me for a little bit. I used to work next to like a smoke shop. And I did like
endless sliders.
Yeah, so I did one, and the smoke shop guy was super impressed by it, and so he like gave me like a handful of lighters, like here, do them up, do whatever you want on them, and he put them for sale, and then he didn't give me any money for the ones he sold. He was just like, oh, he likes doing it. Here, I'll just sell them for $10. They sold, I took a little rose on one, like just whatever, it was just. But I was already a tattooer. It wasn't like a learning thing. It was just like, can I use this tattoo machine to Dremel into this plastic thing?
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
The Edison pen or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Electric pencil.
Yeah. So these kids, here's what I know. They want to be artists.
Right.
But I think the most ironic thing that I see is none of them are drawing physically on paper or painting physical flash. It's all like these really, they probably think it looks great, but they don't realize that it's so ugly.
It's so disconnected too.
These iPad mock-ups are awful looking, and they see their peers doing the same thing, and probably they're like crappy mentor that had them pay for an apprenticeship or were hiring an apprentice. That's what they're doing too. So they're like, this is what tattooing is. Well,
also I feel like you think about, like, to defend the iPad thing, like say you're a tattooer, you know how to tattoo, you know to apply a tattoo, you know to draw a tattoo, you know how to make a tattoo. At that point, now that you know how to tattoo, like, okay, how can I make this as efficient as possible? So using a thermofax, like, absolutely I'm using thermofax, but I should know how to hand stencil and why the purple fucking rubs off on the back of the wax paper, right?
Yeah.
But now that I know that, I use a thermofax, right? I should know how to make needles, so I understand needles, so I know what I'm putting into people's bodies. And so when I pull out a needle, I know what a good one is, what a bad one is. I should be able to look through an eye loop and know what I'm looking at, right? But at the end of the day, if I know what I'm doing and I have a good needle, I guess what I'm saying is, like, when it comes down to the job, the day-to-day, you want the lesson between you and getting that job done that day. But I think that can kind of become an issue because someone sees that and they only learn the shortcut. They only learn, like, set up, go, but they don't know anything else that built that tattooer up to be able to set up and just go. Like, for example, like, I can get to the shop a little early and draw up a chest piece really fast, right? But let's say I hire someone that's a little bit more green and they think, oh, that's the way you do the thing, and they draw up a chest piece really fast and they haven't drawn as many eagles as me, so maybe it doesn't come out as good. Maybe they should have prepped for it a day ahead of time, or do it throughout the week, or consulted some coworkers to get to what I was able to get to in that 30 minutes. Because, to get that done in 30 minutes, it took me hours and hours and hours prior. I guess what I'm saying is the new generation doesn't see the hours and hours prior. They don't see the experience. They just see the end result. And how do I get to the end result as fast as possible? And they're skipping everything of value. And they're, man, I want to get so deep in this because it's like, since there is no, they're creating styles that have no applicable, like, talent, like scribbly, crappy shit. Like, just how can I put this tattoo on right now? Like, what's the shortest? Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
It's like tattooing in many ways is kind of devolving.
Well, yeah. I think we all have had the same experience where we were on the other side of the machine and we're getting tattooed. It looks so easy.
Yeah.
You're just like, I know how to use a marker or whatever.
But in the apprenticeship, you shouldn't learn shortcuts. You should learn, like, how to do the thing. And then you get, like, good at the thing, and then you find a shortcut in that thing. Like,
yeah,
the end result is not like the beginning, I guess.
I agree. It's just an interesting thing. I see young people, well, I guess I should say all people, because I have people like in their 40s that want to apprentice under me, and it's weird, but they see me do it and it looks so easy because I tap fast and all of this stuff. I don't use a foot pedal. It's just like, to them, I just turned it on, right? And they don't know that it's all like, I felt the machine and I was like, oh, this grouping needs, a little more or less juice and all this stuff. But they see that and they're like, I want to get to that as quickly as possible. That like it just goes. And they don't understand that that is not the way it works. It doesn't just go. Yesterday I did a walk-in at your shop and I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to use like a juicy outline, you know. I typically don't use anything bigger than a 9. And I grabbed a 10, one of your hollows that you had in the back, which was sick. It came out super saturated, but that was like, I hadn't done that in so long. I was like, oh my gosh, like, dude, this is like pretty tough, like to do big outlines. I know it like hides your mistakes and stuff when you use fatter outlines, but like
it also slows you down a little bit to wait for the saturation for the needles to do their job and whatnot. You know?
It humbled me because I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how to use these big lines, even though most of the time I'm choosing not to, right?
Right.
It didn't feel automatic for me. I was like, whoa, I need to be super intentional about like my angles and making sure I dip before every line. And I even brought
the hollow's definitely like perpendicular. You can't really kind of be at an angle like you can with like a regular round.
Yeah,
sure.
dude, I tried and that stuff came out
looks like a mag
streaky.
drag. Yeah, for
more
sure.
Streaky.
Yeah.
And it took me a few lines to figure it out. And
but when you figure it out, it's like such a nice square outline. Like it looks like a really defined shape, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, and I was doing it on a calf, which I think the calf is like one of the best areas to tattoo in terms of like when the person's laying down, it's kind of right in your lap, and then
it's flat.
You could really try almost any angle.
Yep.
It's like those big armrests we were kind of joking about yesterday. You're like on the end of the big armrest, right? Like you can set your elbows on the table and whatever, but it was a blast. And that it made me like remember like this thing doesn't just go. Like I had to like pause, made a couple adjustments to my machine. I actually moved where my rubber bands were for a reason and whatever, but I was able to, you know, end up with really clean lines on that tat. But I was like, wow, this is harder than I remember. And it was nice though. I was like, yeah, I love being challenged, you know? But the kids they want to skip that and they want to feel like a rock star as quick as possible. And I actually feel bad for them because like, again, I try and put myself in their situation. I'm like, they just think like, what if they do, rather than imagining that they're all like these really self-centered kids, that it's all about them, which I do see a lot of that, but let's assume that it's not. And they're like, oh my gosh, I want to carry the torch. I love Ed Hardy. I love Sailor Jerry. I love Stoney's, like watching Stoney Knows How gets me fired up about tattooing. Like those are my kind of people. You know, I have to assume that some of these people are, and they don't know how to get there, right? They don't know how to get to in this craft. And then the apprenticeships are being offered. They're awful, right? Yeah. They all these tattoos, they're coming out. I should say the drawings, because they're not very busy tattooing, but they all look like the same kid did it. It's like uninformed by tattooing. All of the like faces are starting to look like Link from Zelda. Like you know what I'm talking about? They all like kind of have this like alien-esque kind of look to them, and it's bizarre, and I don't understand it. It's almost like they all like got together in a group and was like, we're gonna make tattoos look like this now. We're gonna make them like look bad on purpose or whatever.
That's funny.
Like, but for that reason, having a heart for these people and saying like, hey, I can like be the crotchety old man, which I am, but I could be the crotchety old man and just say, man, none of these kids want to learn traditional. They all think like cyber sigilism is going to age the same as tribal. You know what I mean? Like, etc. And I can be mad about all those things. And a lot of those are valid. And where a lot of us are valid in like that. you just feel it right here, right? You're just like, God, like leave my world alone. You know, like you stay over there and do your own little crappy version of it. Tattoo out of your house or whatever. I don't even care at this point. Don't try and pretend like you and I are in the same club.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can have like more of a silver lining, positive outlook on it and say, how can I help these people? And so I started attributing this reputation, I don't know when, but like people always tell me, they're like, you're the guy that knows stuff.
Mm.
And I always know that if I have a question about, like, I have people that I haven't talked to in years and they'll just DM me out of the blue and they'll be like, hey, who was the guy that originally did this design? He'll show me like some modern take on it. And I'll be like, Ben Corday. And they'll like go find it and they'll be like, dude, thanks.
Yeah.
Or
Totally.
they'll be like, dude, you know, what's the red that makes crimson? And I'm like, pigment red 254. And they just like, I'm just the guy that like has all these facts filed away, right? I'm a nerd about tattooing. And so these people started asking me about like painting stuff recently. And then you've seen it, right? Have you had the experience in the past year of people bring their portfolio to your shop?
No one.
Okay.
Doesn't happen. I've had people, I have a good friend who wants to learn, and we don't, it doesn't go that far, dude. There's people that they don't even walk in, they DM and say, are you hiring apprentices? Mm-hmm. And they have like a blank Instagram page. And it's just like, I used to have so many questions for them, and like they only have one for me, and it's bizarre. It's so funny. Bizarre. And I try to like show love, and I'll kind of break down to like, hey, this is how I read this message, and this is how it made me feel, and this is how you can maybe reword the message when you message the next tattoo shop. Yeah. That'll give you a better opportunity. And I don't know, like it's difficult, but it's not their fault. They're just uninformed. You know, like how can they value this thing when they don't know this thing? How can they care about this thing when they don't know nothing about this thing? How are they supposed to know about this thing when they know nothing about this fucking thing? Like, how am I to expect anything else, you know? But yeah, no one really asks to learn anything from me. I don't know. I'm not the guy that knows things.
Well, I guess I would say my experience has been different. I have a lot of kids recently. I'm sure they Google it. Right? They ask Google or they go on Reddit. I'm sure there's Reddit pages. It's like, I'm trying to become an apprentice. What do I do? And they're, you know, the classic thing that we were told, right? You have an art portfolio. Yeah. And you bring it to a tattoo shop and you say, hey, do you need somebody to sweep or whatever, right?
You just got to immerse yourself in the world. Like you can't be looking up from the outside. You got to get on the inside. You got to go get tattooed. You got to befriend a tattooer. You have to be a part of this thing that you want to be a part of. Otherwise, you're just... You're on the outside looking in, confused and angry at it, and then you become this like anti-tattooer, and then you end up with cyber sigils and pen tattoos out of their house, and that's how we got to where we were, because they're on the outside and they say, you know what, I like on the outside, I'm a fucking outsider artist, fuck tattooing, this is the new tattooing, I don't care about you, I fucking make bad tattoo, boom, I got followers, dude. That's what's happening in tattooing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's too big, and there's no way that everyone can kind of like fit in. And so if you don't fit in, what do? You like carve your own path
thing.
And that's where we're at, I think. Yeah.
So let me ask you, if somebody were to come in, and they did have a portfolio, and let's say it's not very substantial, because that's my experience, right? They have like maybe 30 pieces of art or less.
Right.
And all of it was colored pencil. Or showing like realism stuff on canvas using like
just art school project stuff they bring in and stuff,
like using acrylics, or like I mean like acrylics like you would buy in like a craft store, like, or like pastels or something, like. Or for me, the worst one is Copic markers. Oh, yeah. The kids love those things right now. I've never really used them. I don't understand what the point is, but I can tell you they're ugly.
It's an anime thing. There's something like, I've seen like like illustrator people, like they'll do like an outline, and then they'll color everything in like a light brown, and then like yellow, and then they'll make some like cool car. Like I see Instagram reels where it looks neat, but it's not tattoo. It's just a different thing. And they might see that and might think, oh, this is how you draw Pokemon. I
don't know. They're trying to be the Pokemon tattooer.
Yeah, which I mean, that's a fucking Pokemon's back. I mean, yeah, you can make a good.
You just reposted
Pokemon
my Pokemon tat.
Dude, it's a hit.
I made that on my cousin in New York a couple weeks ago. That thing was sick.
Yeah.
I was like, what's its name again?
Yeah.
You know, I don't remember.
Tiger King.
Yeah. It was 1999 with the last time I had Pokemon cards. So.
Yeah.
But to go back, so people are bringing you their portfolio and they say, yeah, I want to be a tattooer. And they, of course, most of the time they bring their art, and it's like really not geared toward tattooing. It's like got way too much stuff in it. It might be a pencil sketch on like computer paper, or like it's just like not, it doesn't translate to tattooing. And that's been my critique and why I've turned away most of the people in the past. Also, I just don't want that noise right now. Another mouth to feed, so to speak. But it I always say, like, dude, it looks like you've never actually like seen tattoos before, you know. Like this doesn't look like you, like if you think this translates as tattooing, it doesn't. And like this, none of this is tattooable. And so recently I had an experience of a person coming into the shop, and I was like, I tried to show him, I'm like, you ever do that thing where you draw your design on your on Procreate, and then you do Gaussian blur to show like how it would age, right? Gaussian blur makes everything
it like
fuzz.
Blow out kind of.
Yeah, and you just like see, and you're like, oh, you know, like of course, like in a pinup, like the eyes, the mouth, right? Like this all.
I didn't know. No, I know. I never done that. That's cool. I'll just like what I do typically is I'll get the design and say it's too small, and if I'm using like say the size is 1 through 10 or 20, using a 3, I'll be like, okay, let's say this gets at least twice as thick over time. Let's trace it right now with 6. And then like, look at the teeth are filled in. Look, the eyes filled in. Look at this. So you have to make it bigger, make the eyeball bigger, make it looser, make it open. Maybe just bump the design up 30%. So last 30% longer. So maybe you get 30 years out of it. But the smaller and the more shit you put into it, the more you pack in, the worst tattoo we're going to make today, you know, like.
True.
But I didn't know that's kind of a cool little tip.
Yeah, I use Gaussian blur because most of the time I am drawing on Procreate. And so like my flash stamps that I was alluding to earlier, like I have like a perfect, like multiple versions of different flowers.
Yeah.
And so what I will do is say I lay that stamp down, but it's a really thin line weight. So you know how you can like duplicate it and like merge them together, you pinch them together, and so it makes it a little thicker. Well, if you do it too much, it'll get pixelated. Right. So what I actually do is before I duplicate it, I'll open that flower will just be on one layer, and I'll tap it and I'll put up Gaussian blur like 1 or 2%. Then I duplicate it. So it duplicates a fuzzy version of it, and it allows it to thicken a lot faster, and it won't be as pixelated. So a lot of time I actually don't have to re-outline the flower. Right. I get to just use the stamp, and they're not different line weights.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
Anyway, little trick.
Yeah.
But so I was having this experience, and with the knowledge of like, oh my gosh, there's just like this flood of tattoos. I can't believe a single person right now wants to get into tattooing. I'm like, you have to have the craziest blinders on and have your head in the sand to not know like that people are not having a good time in tattooing.
But it takes an ego to think you could do it. It takes an ego to think you can continue to make it, right? Yeah. So you kind of need that little bit of ignorance and that little bit of ego to even start and to continue.
Like lie to yourself a little bit.
For sure, right? That's a big part of it, I think. And I think unfortunately, like, yeah, they think they're gonna be the exception. They kind of, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I think there is like, you know. I don't get it. I didn't know anything about tattoos before I got into tattoos. I just got tattooed in a tattoo shop, knew I liked it, and then started hanging around, and I got into that world, and I got into it, and then I was aware of it, but I was never like, I could be a tattooer before I stepped foot in a tattoo shop. Like, I don't get how you could be so disconnected, but think that, like, I don't get how you could want to be a lawyer if you've never met a lawyer before. or you could like want to be a doctor when you grow up when you've never been to the doctors. You know, I think that you kind of need to be able to touch it to know it's tangible a little bit. It's just weird. And maybe that's just the internet. Like everything's more tangible and you can kind of gain experience through watching videos. And
yeah, I mean, everyone's freaking reels are like, come do blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Tattoo.
That's true.
Ask thing with me.
Right.
Dude, the one that was really taking the piss the other day, I sent it to my buddy. It was some dude, you could tell he was in SoCal. He had his black fitted freaking Raiders hat on. And he's like, let's come with me to Costco, tattooer edition. And it was just him like buying paper towels and crap. I was like, guys, we need to stop.
That's kind of tight. Stupid. I kind of like it. But that's like, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I think that could be like funny and like almost poking fun at like, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it's like
great. No, it was like the work hard, stay humble, look at my Rolex.
Oh man. You know? Okay.
Tattooed and employed t-shirt.
Right. Yeah. How funny.
But yeah, that's the world we're in. And like you said, maybe these dudes are, you know, have this God complex that they're invincible and no, I'm going to be the exception. All you other tattooers that are struggling right now, even though you've been doing it for decades.
You just don't know what I don't know.
Yeah. So this is how the thought like crystallized. And I will let you know, I haven't really ever talked with you about how I ended up like actually getting like the green light to tattoo. I have a friend named Zane. Zane and I were strangers. Zane was a tattooer in Massachusetts. We had a mutual friend I had met from this, what would you call that? It was like a little Christian conference thing I went to in Baltimore, Maryland. This guy I met one time. Yeah. And then we were like Facebook friends in 2010 or something.
Okay.
He said, I have this mutual friend. He said, I have a friend that's coming to New York City and he's looking for a place to stay. He's an awesome tattooer and he will trade a nice traditional tattoo for a place to stay for anybody he can find a place to stay with. Anyone he stays in their couch or whatever. Yeah. And it was him and a friend, and they were coming to New York to get tattooed and meet tattooers. I think they were getting tattooed by Ashley Love. And then Zane had a bunch of mutual friends, I think at Daredevil. Okay. Shops like that, like old school New York shops. So Zane comes and stays with me, total stranger, and he sees when he tattoos me that I'm trying to get into this tattoo thing. Right. And then he sees the fact that I had been painting this whole time and like trying to teach myself, even though I had no frame of reference, I was trying to teach myself. So I was like just copying Sailor Jerry. That's all I did was I'd be like, this week I'm going to paint this cobra. And I was a full-time chef, so there wasn't really a good reason for me to do it. But I thought it was so cool. I used to, you know, I used to do this thing where I would like copy the screen. You could like copy what you saw on your screen on like a Windows computer. Okay. And I would go on the internet and I would just Google. This was even like before Google was very popular. I was like probably using a different search engine, but I would be like Yahoo. Right. Sailor Jerry painting or something, Sailor Jerry sleeve, and I would just copy the screen and I would just like look through them. I would just like ruminate on this stuff, and it was like it got ingrained up here. So Zane meets me and he's like, are you trying to get into tattooing? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, you don't do it tattooing in your bedroom. He's like, the way you do it is like you got to do it this way. He's like, but what's really cool, and normally I tell everybody to kick rocks. He's like, but you know how to paint, don't you? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I'm trying. You know, I was using like non-waterproof black and stuff. Oh, yeah. Like, okay. I was trying to like brush line stuff. I didn't know how it was done, but
you're getting after it.
I was getting after it, and he was like, most people, and this is why he gave me the green light. He said most people need to be taught traditional. This art style doesn't make sense to them. I can tell that you get it. And he's like, that's why, he's like, that's the only reason I think you should be a tattooer, is because like your mind already works this way. Cause I have the background of like, you know, comics and cartoons, you know, and I funneled that into tattooing. It made sense. Like the dark is black, like Batman, the animated series. I was just talking about this with my coworker, Christian, the other day. Some of the best reference material, because like Batman, like when he's in the shadow, jet black, if there's any highlight, it's dark blue, and then his eyes are just white. It's like, it's almost a tattoo if you think about it. It's so heavy black, and it was dark. So he was like, that's why he thought I was worthy to become a tattooer. He's like, oh, you'll actually contribute something, because you're not going to spend the first 3 years of your tattoo career, your 5 years, figuring out how to do traditional the right way. You already can do that.
Right.
So all that to say, and I'm not like trying to gas myself up, but that was something like just through happenstance. I didn't know that was like rare, you know, to like just understand traditional right out the gate.
Yeah.
Normally like people go from realism to traditional, right?
Yeah, right.
So what it was is the painting skills, the art understanding is what got me green lighted to become a tattooer. He's like, you should do this, and this is how you go about it. And that was how I started my journey. So going back to the dilemma of the modern day kid, they got the pen, the cartridge, the fake skin, and they're doing all their mock-ups on, if they're even doing a mock-up at all, on Procreate. They're just zooming in and zooming in and zooming in and like adding all this crap that you and I know like won't last, but they see their mentor doing it.
Right.
So I said, what's the missing link? How can I help as many of these kids, regardless of how crappy of an apprenticeship, quickly get the freedom to experiment and become their own artist on their own? Because they're not trying to become tattooers, they're trying to become tattoo artists, right?
Right.
And that is something that I remember about you. Long before we knew each other, you were probably aware of me, like when I was working in Envision or something. Right. Like you probably had your finger on the pulse of what was going on around, but we didn't know each other.
Right.
But I remember
met you when you were like in Oceanside, right?
Yeah, but that was years later. I mean, 5 years later or something.
Right.
I remember you being the piercer and you freaking like stick and poking tattoos on a mountaintop and like all this stuff. And I'm just like, man, this guy, like, I don't understand this dude. And then I just remember you started like just painting your freaking tail off.
Yeah.
And I was like, this dude's smoking me in painting. This dude actually, you were such a good painter. And even if you were bad, let's assume you were bad. Yeah. Like let's assume you were 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
It didn't stop you from doing it again and again and again and revisiting the same designs and trying. And then you'd go, like, I remember you would guest spot in Hollywood. Yeah. And even if you weren't tattooing, you would paint them a sheet and you'd see what they were using to paint, right? And like all that stuff. So I remember that about you, and I'm not trying to gas you up. I know that was crucial to you really understanding traditional.
Oh yeah.
Where now, like what we were saying earlier, that's the shortcut. Is like that's the whole middle part that the young people are missing. Is that whole experimentation and feeling free to experiment. And I'm like, dude, that is what young people do not understand about Flash. Flash is, you don't just paint something in order to sell it. You paint it in order to find out like if that looks cool. And if it doesn't, it's just a piece of paper. You can burn it.
Totally.
I mean, like it's more about the journey is the destination with painting Flash. And so I said to my wife, man, I feel like these kids just really need to stop. They need to put the iPad down, maybe draw their designs on iPad, but they need to start working in real life.
Yeah.
They need to get this thing that they can touch. And when somebody walks into their tattoo shop, assuming they're an apprentice or whatever, and they're like, hey, I heard you're doing apprentice tattoos. Like, where's your Flash? Don't you dare grab your stupid iPad and try and shine it in their face. Like, you want to be an artist, right? You insist that you're an artist, and that's why you're going to bring so much value to tattooing, even though everyone around you is telling you you won't. But you refuse to freaking pick up a paintbrush. And why? Then I started asking these people, why aren't you picking up the paintbrush? Why are you using the stupid Copic markers? And why is this on computer paper? Like, why aren't you...
Right.
You love this thing, right? You want to be part of this thing, right? Like, why can't you put $50 into this thing?
Yeah.
If you love it so much, you're going to buy $1,000 freaking nose hair trimmer. Like, why aren't you painting? That was the real question. And so the answer I got, you could call this market research, but really I was trying to figure out like what's going on in these guys' minds. Cause I'm 37. Like these kids are 21.
Right.
They're like, I'm scared. I'm scared to mess up on the painting, right? Because on iPad, you never mess up, right? You can just hit undo.
Yeah.
So I'm scared to mess up. I'm scared to waste my time, and I'm scared to waste my money.
How else are you going to learn?
How else are you going to learn?
Like they want to just go out and kickflip. You got to go fucking push down the street, hit some fucking rocks. Like you got to get back up, do it again. And then after one summer and fucking 100 tries every day, you can fucking kickflip. Like I looked at, I'm not talented. I look at just work, right? Like I looked at like, okay, it's going to take me a lot of sheets to figure this out. So am I going to spend a week, a month, a year on this one painting? Or how do I get to 100 paintings? Like, you know what I mean? Somebody do 1 painting a day, 2 paintings a day, 3 paintings a day, 4 paintings a day. Like, how many can I get out to get to that fucking kickflip? You know, like,
yes.
And it's like, again, it comes back to, we're talking about like the shortcuts, like what's the easiest, quickest way? And there is no easy kind of quick way. Like lately, another thing I've been doing too, is like, I've been kind of like, it's funny you say like iPad, I feel like the iPad kind of takes me out of it, makes me feel a little less creative. Like I feel like the iPad is a light box to me. I use it to effectively trace something quickly and get a clean line drawing to run through a thermofax. And I could line something out really quick on the iPad and it's inconsequential. You could double tap it away, whatever, cool. But I don't feel as connected to it, and I don't have much feeling for it. It's just a tool, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes you forget, like, just sit there and just doodle, you know? And lately, like, I've been just kind of like doodling, you know? Like those sheets up there, actually, like, grab that white sheet up there.
The one that's in front?
Yeah. It's a split between me and Joshua. So look at the back of it.
This?
So that's my process. Like, I just went for it. It's like, I don't know. And to me, like, that was so exciting to just like, you know, doodle with a little red, do a little blue, do the line drawing, do the fucking fake tattoo, do the flash, you know, like, and it's like, I wouldn't have came up with that concept on the iPad. And the time I was spent looking through reference just to find something versus just doodling something really quick, it felt really good just to get it out of me real fast. Or like that weird tribal Borneo butterfly thing up there. I wouldn't have found that reference anywhere. It doesn't fucking exist. Like, that was a mess on the back of the sheet. Like,
this is the equivalent of like a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
With like just crayons, like
just draw.
I'm gonna color.
Yeah, just draw. I mean, look at the back. The back's a fucking mess. I don't know. Something about that is freeing. That kind of brings me back to remember, you know, why I started drawing. You know, sometimes the day-to-day and the workflow of tattoo, it's just about the end product. And I think, again, someone that's like wanting to learn how to make the end product, they're missing the whole point because they're only seeing what it takes to make the end product. Sometimes just sitting there and just drawing because you like drawing, being an artist because you like making art. Like, there's something to that, you know? Yeah. And I think, I don't know. Yeah. For me, like, I didn't really have someone to teach me how to like paint. The shop that I learned in, they didn't paint flash. You know, it's just, we had a bunch of reference books and they did really beautiful script, really good, like black and gray, really good, whatever the fuck you wanted that day. Like, and I did have a couple mentors in tattooing, like Grego, who painted flash, who kind of put me on a little bit, but I had to go and buy every kind of paint to figure out what kind of paint I liked, you know? And then eventually, once I was putting out decent paintings, then I could kind of befriend decent tattooers, and I could, like, you know, like the trajectory you listed was kind of on brand, you know, like going to Hollywood and working with Javier and Pancho and William and, you know, and Sean, like, and like really putting me on like, yo, that sucks. And this is why that sucks. Oh shit. You know? And it clicked real fast. Like I'd been applying myself and painting. And I just needed someone to kind of put me in the right direction. And then after that, I had a direction to follow, you know?
And in the meantime, though, wouldn't you, I mean, I'm guessing here, but you were also selling some of those paintings as tattoos.
Yeah, but like
people would pick the wolf sometimes.
They would, but I had to sell it. It was really more of a gift of gab than it was like my artistry speaking for itself. I had to speak for my art, you know?
Yes. Well, okay. Now picture an alternative universe.
Yeah. Oh, if I could have a shortcut or a faster way.
That's not what I was going to say.
Okay.
I was going to say, imagine you say, you're in the same situation.
Yes.
And you say, welcome to whatever tattoo. And they say, hey, is there anything you've been wanting to tattoo? Imagine if you just say, I've been wanting to tattoo a wolf. The guy's like, oh, cool. Can I see it? And you're like, no, it's up here.
Right. Yeah.
It is like, that is like what, something that like people are forgetting. Like you don't paint something in order to take a picture of it to market your thing online. That does happen. But like what I keep on hearing when I talk to, you know, I only follow a handful of people and they're worldwide. So I'm kind of like getting a scope of like our mutual friend Dylan, what's going on in Chiang Mai, what's going on in Tokyo,
right?
What's going on in China, New Zealand, Tasmania, like these people that I follow, and it's like everyone's starting to say it's like slowing down. But what I keep on hearing, which is very interesting, which to us is like, it's like a duh, is in-person marketing is becoming more and more important.
Yeah.
If you run into somebody in the supermarket and they say, man, you know, you have a lot of nice tattoos, and you say, thanks, I'm a tattooer. You know, I used to just like be like, oh, I don't want to talk about tattoos right now. And I still feel that way deep down, but I'm like, no, this is my chance.
Yeah.
I like, if I know I'm going to a social function, I am putting business cards in my pocket. My wife's kind of like, Jordan, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I'm dead serious, dude. I'm about to sell some tats. Absolutely. I said to Carly, we were stuck in that airport a couple days ago. I go, dude, everyone's so bored in here. And they're all just like staring on their phone. I go, yo, if you just flew somewhere just to go to the airport and you said, I'm guest spotting in town today, like all the arrivals or something, or like people doing like layovers, or like, hey, do you ever go to Nashville? Like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I guarantee I could get like 10 deposits right now. I could make $1,000. So like, I think funny. In-person marketing is really important, and people like really like shrug it off. But they look at your shop yesterday, dude. I'm literally, like people don't know this, but I literally like came here with no plan. I was like, I'll tattoo a couple local old friends if I can, but it was too short a notice. And so I've just been taking walk-ins. Random people walked in. Now, Wayne definitely handed me an alley-oop yesterday, but they walked in, they're like, let me see your flash. And so I did have pictures of like the last 20 paintings I did over the last few months. And I'm like, all these, and the dude literally picked one and got it tattooed right then and there. And it was already ready on my iPad because I had drawn it on my iPad, but I painted it. Yeah. And he had a perfect representation of what it is. So.
And also it comes back to I know before we get back to Flash, like you said, like in person, it's slowing down. Like maybe the online noise has kind of been drowned out and kind of get a little lost and kind of get blend in with everyone else on the internet. But in real life, you walked in the tattoo shop and you made tattoos because they came to the shop. There's something to be said for like a street shop, for a walk-in. You know, people are still walking in. A lot of people that are slow, they don't take walk-ins. You know, no one's booking. every like. You know, the average, like, I'm making this fucking number up. The average, like, you know, tattoo collector, connoisseur follows a couple thousand tattooers. Like, how many tattoos do they really need from me before they need to get one from you and the next person? And so it's like, if it's becoming about collecting or whatever, and you tattoo collectors, and you need more people, or else you're running out of, like, you're going out of business. You know, you need their friend, their friend's friend's friend, their friend's friend's friend. If you just tattoo them and they don't come back, you're out of business. And that's what's happening right now, is that there's not enough to go around. You're not special right now. You're going out of business right now. Yeah. But it's like, if you have a shop that can actually like tattoo the common folk and talk to someone in real life, like, be surprised. There's people that walk in that want to get tattoos. You know what I mean? And they don't want to email you. They don't want to go through my website. They don't want to leave deposit. They want to come in right now and leave with a tattoo. You know, I think that I didn't think this
it's a
couple of years ago, but I feel like the street shop shit, it's becoming very valuable right now.
Yes, dude, it's something hilarious. We the other day at our shop, like, we'll normally like all get lunch like from the same place, and we'll be like, hey, Venmo me, I'm gonna go pick us up, blah blah blah.
Right.
The other day we went to order a pizza from this new like fancy place in Nashville.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're accepting walk-ins. It's like, I freaking hope so. It's a pizza parlor, bro.
Really?
They said we're taking walk-ins.
Weird. That's ours. It's like
the dumbest.
It's like in COVID, people started bumping elbows. Like, no, that's my shit. That's my. You don't take from my.
You took that from me.
Yeah. We've been bumping elbows, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, there's definitely something to be said about the street shop and location. I mean, the busiest shops.
Well, if every tattooer is like bookings closed, unobtainable, and there's someone right down the street that's relatable, like, who's gonna make a tattoo today? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that, like, it's funny because we went through this thing where the tattoo shop, I felt, became almost less valuable. It became like kind of democratized, and like the independent contractor became more independent in a lot of ways. And it's like the tattoo artist has more followers than the tattoo shop. The tattoo artist has their own website. Tattoo shop has their own website. The tattooer posts on their Instagram more than the shop posts on their Instagram. You know, it's like the tattooer can buy everything fully disposable. They can go anywhere. They got people all over. And it became a thing where it was like, not, you know, why should I have you work in my tattoo shop? What do you have to offer my shop? But more so like, why should I work for your shop? What's your shop going to do for me? And shops started having to kind of bend over, like, and having to like, give a lot more amenities and, maybe a higher percentage, maybe a booth rent option. And it gets to the point where the shop isn't able to, it doesn't make sense for the shop to stay in business because it's not really making any money because it's kind of giving it all away, and every artist wants their own tattoo shop. So then you end up with like a bunch of tattoo shops with no one fucking working in them, right? And there's just not enough to go around. But when that becomes commonplace and every tattooer has followers and every tattooer has a website and every tattooer is special and everybody is somebody, then they kind of blend in and kind of become just like everybody else and become nobody. And the shop that you want to go to is the one that you can actually see with no bullshit, and it's right there and you can walk in today. I'd argue that like my shop's posts on Instagram more than my artist posts on their Instagrams. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you do it right, I don't think you even need to have an Instagram to make a tattoo right now in 2025. You know, like if you're running your shop right, like a tattoo artist can make a living without having to chase this fucking Instagram reel thing. Yeah. I try to do all of it, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't know what's happening next. I'm not looking back, I'm looking forward, and I need the next thing. So it's like, whatever the next thing is, I'm going to do it. Whether it's a video, a flash sheet, a book, a podcast, a guest spot, a shop, a company, I'm trying to get my hands in all of it. I want I want a piece of tattooing. But I think that right now, when we look at a lot of the tattooers that are feeling it, it's because they just don't have much to offer it, you know? And I think that you have to be like devoted and you have to have a lot to offer to tattooing to get a tiny bit back from it. And you can't just wait around and say, yeah, I want to do a wolf. Show me you want to do a wolf, you know? Back when I wanted to do a wolf, I drew a bunch of wolves. And I said, here's a bunch of wolves. And I got
here's a full body. One. Here's a straight on. Here's a sideways. Here's the classic. This one's tongue is sticking out. This one's isn't.
But that's a big thing that, wannabe apprentices need to know. Is like, you want a tattoo? Fucking show me. Like, you see my walls, you see I paint. Show me you want to paint. Like you know, you want to be. Show me how much you want to be. Like, I see that you've drawn 3 things. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, congratulations. You're gonna have to do that every single day for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
Like, get ready.
Yeah.
Like, looking at these flash sheets, and you know, I recognize a couple of the references and stuff, of course. People don't realize that, okay, it took me an hour or two. I'm a very slow artist. I'm very slow at my drawing process because I try like everything before I like say it's done. So let's say 45 minutes to 2 hours per design. So you draw the design, then you got to trace the design. God forbid you do pencil, then you do marker.
Right.
Then you paint it. God forbid you stain it and you wait, right? And then you seal it and then you frame it. It's like, dude, I have invested over 10 hours before I've made a freaking dime. Actually, I've lost money. And if I were paying myself $20 an hour, you know, I'd be $200 plus materials in the hole for painting this. So then when people see the easy part, when they say, oh my gosh, this tattooer, he's just sitting there and somebody walks in and they like pick from his flash and he gets to do it. It's like, the other day, great example. The other day, I have people book me for full days quite a bit.
Right.
In Nashville because I'm pretty quick and
you get a lot done.
I have the gift of gab. And so like I can usually get people to tolerate like longer sessions of like quicker tattoos.
Yeah.
So this guy came and got 4 from me the other day, all in one shot. And we were done in like 6 hours, I think. Full color, big ones. And it was funny. The night before, my wife always asked me like, hey, what do you have going on tomorrow? And I said, I have a full day. I was like, but actually it's a pretty easy one. The guy's just getting from my flash, you know, he picked 4 things from my flash pretty much. And I told the gentleman, yeah, it kind of feels like cheating, right? Like, oh, it's all ready to go. But it's like the only reason it's ready to go is because I did dozens of hours of work leading up to this.
Yeah, you did the work prior, yeah.
And I painted like one of the designs I tattooed. I think I painted like 2 years ago.
Well, it's familiar, right? Because if it was 4 pieces of your coworker's flash, you would be like, oh, I want to maybe redraw this part. It wouldn't be so easy anymore. It's like you already put in the work and now you get to enjoy it, you know?
Yeah.
Paid off.
But yeah, so rewinding and combining this or relating it to what we were speaking about earlier about painting, I feel like all of that coalesces when you say, okay, even if someone uses the pen and the cartridge and they're in a shop with no artwork on the wall and there's no windows and it's painted gray and the shop's called something Inc. and blah, 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 all the things that I can't stand.
Yeah. They all seem like they're the same logo too. Like the same like weird like
the
calligraphied like a calligraphed gold or brass like
it looks like the Affliction font.
Yeah, it's almost like you flip it upside down and its anagram says something else somehow.
It's gotten You're like, is that an upside down cross? I don't know.
Yeah.
So all those things that I can't stand, I say if I could pick one thing, because like getting kids to go to coils is a hard sell, and getting old guys to go to coils and continue with coils is a hard sell nowadays.
Right.
And that's honestly, I know at the end of the day, it's just a personal preference. Like the original patented tattoo machine was a rotary, right?
Yeah.
But if I could change one thing, be like, what if all these young people were freaking painting their tails off all the time and experimenting. And then like when they actually put it on paper and realize that, hey, you can't draw a whole design with a number 3 liner on an iPad. You can make it looks good on there, and then you try and paint it and you're like, this is impossible.
Yeah.
Right. And so you like
you can't zoom in to put more in there. You don't know streamlined effect, you know.
You're living in freaking reality all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, cool. So I know that this is doable. I know I can do it. I know I drew it. this is my style, and the more of this I do, like,
and it's the closest you can get to tattoo, like applying this, you have to apply yourself.
yes. So like when I had a client one time watching me paint, he came in, maybe he was getting tattooed by a coworker or something at that time, but he was like, dude, you paint like you tattoo. You look like you're tattooing right now. And I'm like, we kind of are, it's not the same movements, but like, it's that super, like when you're blending out.
Yeah.
I was watching you paint last night. It was like, you can tell how many thousands of times you've done it.
Yeah.
You painted a design, like you already had the lines on the paper, right?
Yeah, I lined it out real quick in the back room. It was like the eagle dagger thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the handle from the Bowery book, right?
Yeah.
The handle is an eagle's head.
Yeah.
But dude, you just came out and you're like, the shop closed in 15 minutes. I could paint this thing in 15 minutes. And you really did. You did it in 15 minutes, full color, everything. And you were just painting from pans.
Yeah.
Like that does not happen overnight. That happens from a lot of experience. And then like technically today, if somebody walked in, they'd be like, do you have anything you've painted recently you want a tattoo? And you'd be like, yes.
Yeah, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
I just like the paint just dried, man. Like let's tattoo this. And it was like a hand size, like it was pretty substantial. So all that to say is, I slowly started writing a book, which became into a course. And this was like everything that I've had to learn from outside of the tattoo community, right? Like the tattooing, just like we only use a small portion of Procreate and we only use a small portion of Instagram, right? We don't use the viral, matching the audios and stuff like that to tattooing. We only use a narrow part of watercolor. But what I have learned from outside of the tattoo world about why is watercolor paper made out of cotton? What is sizing? Why is it in paper? Why is watercolor bound with gum arabic? What makes something light fast? Which pigments that are found in paints are also found in tattooing? Like, how did Sailor Jerry discover the purple that worked in skin, right? He was experimenting with those pigment powders that they were using to make paint, and he found the one that stuck. Pigment Violet 19, I believe it's called.
Right.
One's 19 and one's 23. One's magenta and one's violet.
Okay.
But those are the two purples we use in tattooing, magenta and violet concentrate. So like all of these things that I've learned from outside of the tattoo community and applied to my watercolor makes it make so much more sense. Like, you hear all kinds of weird things with watercolor. A new one I heard the other day was somebody's like, whenever you're doing your blends on hot press, you need to use hot water.
What?
Yeah. I was like, A, that's not really relevant or true, but I was like, that's an interesting one, right? And like tattooers would just believe it, right?
That's kind of fun though. Cool. It feels like a weird tattoo superstition or something.
Yeah. I mean, in the same way, like, it translates. There's all kinds of superstitious stuff in tattooing, right? Yeah. Like, oh, before you do white, you gotta do this to prep your needles, or the
only superstition I think I have is like, oh, I need to set up my station so someone walks in, or I need to start a painting so someone walks in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to like devote a little bit. Like you were gonna start your sheet, you're like, oh, I got the sheet ready, boom, walk in.
I did it twice yesterday, and then I learned my lesson. I said, I'm just gonna keep drawing up the designs until the next person walked in, rather than setting up the paints.
But I don't know if there's anything to it, but it's fun,
Yeah, no, it seems to be the case. I like to set up like hours before, because I'll usually I'll set up one extra tattoo machine just for fun. Yeah. Like one that I just retuned or something. Right. Or I'm like, I wonder if this one will push like a 23 meg. I'm going to find out. Right. I'll just plan on using it on like a little section. But all these things that I've learned, reading books about watercolor and then experimentation, like many people don't know this about me, but like in my private life, like outside of tattooing, I paint realistic watercolor. So I do realism as well, like just for fun. Like I've done it for family members and stuff, portraits.
Totally.
And you can't do that stuff with using just what we know in the tattoo world. Of course. So what I did after getting feedback from these younger people that had approached me about apprenticeships and stuff like that, I was like, why?
So they're studying you, but you're kind of studying them. You find the commonalities in their questions.
Of course, it's not like you and I were just joking yesterday. Like we're the freaking old guy now.
Right.
Like people say like what were those dolls you guys were talking about yesterday?
Labubu.
Labubus. And I was like, what the frick? I had no idea what you guys were talking about.
Yeah.
So I thought it was like a new slang, like skibidi toilet.
Oh yeah. She, bruh.
See, I don't even know what that is, but
it'll make its way to Tennessee.
Yeah.
You'll be tattooing Labubus in no time. Yeah.
We're a little behind on the stupid slang. But, so they said I'm afraid to. Going back to what I asked these people, like, why haven't you done watercolor? Why are you using these stupid markers? And they're super expensive too.
Yeah.
All these mediums,
really
like, why are you using this stupid sketch pad with the holes punched in it, right? Like, why aren't you just painting on paper and then you can like frame it and stuff? So they're afraid of making mistakes because they don't want to look stupid. I'm like, so you'd rather make mistakes on human beings, right? So they don't want to make mistakes and look stupid. And then they're terrified of wasting their time, and then they're especially terrified of wasting their money. And I don't blame them, dude. It's a hard grind right now.
Scared money don't make money. If you're sitting there taking forever, like you're just, I don't know. To me,
well,
it's,
that's true, but
it's so much faster just to bang out a couple bad sheets and then get a good one than it is to sit there for like a week staring at paper.
I do agree with you. Scared money don't make money. It's one of the best pieces of advice I ever got. Shout out Travis Costello for telling me that one time in a DM, and it like changed my career. But
it's stuck, huh?
Yeah, I was like, yep, you freaking got me. But anyway, also on the opposite end of that spectrum, like buying the new $1,500 pen does not make you good at tattooing either, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're not going to make much money off of that either. So people are terrified to waste their money and waste their time. So I was like, okay, what's the least amount of equipment that somebody would need to know or need to have on hand in order to paint in the same way that I paint?
Right.
And how many brushes would they need? Do they need to be expensive brushes? What colors would they need? And how long would they be willing to invest? And how low could I make the price point on this thing that they could afford it too? Because like it's a whole thing, right? Because you need to like market it just so that people find it so that they can be helped by it. And it's unfortunately part of the beast, as
for
you
sure
know.
It is, yeah. But do you want to sell like a high cost course to 6 people or a low cost course to 6,000 people? You know?
This isn't my freaking retirement, right? I'm just like, I have this knowledge, arguably that other tattooers do not even have, nor that they want to share, nor are they willing to put in hundreds of hours of investment. And just like how you invested in this, I know this setup was not cheap.
Right.
We're talking G's here just to be able to do this
for sure
and put out food for thought for other people, right? People coming up or people that are disillusioned, jaded, whatever. And that's what you did, right? You're helping people. And this is my way of helping people rather than doing it in a DM on a one-to-one basis and writing it all out and being like, hey, you know, have you ever considered phthalo green and blah, blah, blah. Instead, I'm just doing this on a massive scale. So what I ended up realizing is that I could get it down to 5 colors.
Okay.
5 tubes of watercolor. Because, you know, a lot of the kids, if they are using what they think is watercolor, they're using PH Martins or they're using liquid acrylics.
Yeah.
And there are great things about almost all of those things do have great attributes. Like hydrous does contain pigment, but it dries hard. And acrylic sometimes contains pigment, but it dries hard and you can't go back and adjust stuff. And certain ones you can't layer, and certain ones are not light fast.
Yeah,
and
that's
certain
a big
ones
one.
Stain the light fast thing, right? That's the biggest one.
Yeah, a lot of people will paint with that pH, and then fucking little sun hits it, and your painting's it's worth nothing now.
It's worth nothing. And it's not selling any tattoos. So all the stuff that I had in my shop, almost every single sheet I've painted for the last, I don't know. It took me 7 or 8 years to figure out that stuff fades really bad in the sun. All that stuff is in storage now. I'm not selling it as tattoos. The flash sheets look terrible, and it's
You gotta have it in the tattoo shop with no windows.
Yeah, that's a match made in heaven, dude.
Yeah.
Use your Copic markers. There's no sun. It is damaged by vape smoke, though.
Right.
So,
dude, what if all the
That would be
all the sheets
awesome.
are like yellowy because they're higher up on the wall behind, like the
People are like,
acetate.
you vape indoors.
All the
don't
sheets
you?
are gonna be like blue raspberry color. Like, what the fuck?
It smells good in here.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I could smell the sheet from Sailor fucking Ned. Smells like blue fucking raspberry.
Just how we were joking about Crazy Eddie yesterday and
Yeah.
how he always had, what did he have? Pineapple juice and rum
Yeah.
or whatever. Like, what if it's like, yeah, Sailor Wayne, dude. He was big on that blue raz.
Smell his sheet. Smell the blue.
Dude, you can still smell.
He always infused it with the vape cloud to finish the sheet.
Really sets the ink.
Yeah.
So I got it down. So with color theory, technically all we would need is red, blue, and yellow, and then black for lining.
Yeah, and you can
waterproof
make
black.
green, and you can mix everything from that. Yeah.
But in tattooing, our green is a very unique green that we talked about on our
Yes.
last podcast episode, where it's a tealish green. It's
Yeah.
a blue green.
Yeah.
So that gives it these attributes that, like, you always, if you need to have it be a true green, you need to warm it up with yellow first because it's too much to the blue side first.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like an actual green. So what I decided is to make a course where people only need to buy 5 colors, one of them being black. So it's black, and then I gave them like a range of, like, you could get a bunch of different brands, but they're all essentially like similar colors. So there's
Right.
like a phthalo green, a neutral red, like cadmium red, cadmium yellow, or Indian yellow or something like that, and then a blue, phthalo blue. And so I'm like, you literally, this is all you need to paint exactly like I do. And I got them, and I'm like, rather than going to a nib and trying to, like, you're just going to slam your finger in the door, dude. I love using nibs, and I do them for fun. And I paint a lot of sheets with a nib, but it is the long way around. And it's like, it's almost like learning to tattoo again. It's so hard.
But that's also like a valid point too. Like my coworker Josh was saying, is that it's like it slows you down, makes you intentional with your lines. So when learning how to tattoo, like maybe that consequence of the nib is kind of like gets them closer to tattoo. I'm a little bit I already know how to fucking tattoo, so like I can just bang it out with the marker. I do both as well. But yeah, I think sometimes, like, if you're learning, like you said, slamming your finger in the door, that might be the thing that stops you or unmotivates you, when it's like, can I just get the lines on the paper and start painting? You know what I mean?
Exactly. If you have the assumption that these people have the attention span of a goldfish, which we all do, and they don't want to do things that are hard, and they're very self-conscious and don't want to look stupid. These are all just plagues on our social norms now, right? Like, everybody, like, even look at social media, right? Like, nobody's putting out an authentic, this is me, I look like this when I wake up in the morning. Like, nobody's putting that stuff out.
Right.
And no tattooers are really posting every single thing that they tattoo.
Right.
They're definitely not doing it with no filter, and the ones that are doing no filter photos are unfortunately being left behind because we're all cooked. Like, we expect to see that now. So if that's the case, I have to assume that that's the case with young people and our peers that have never picked up a paintbrush. Some of them literally think, that the iPad thing looks cool, and I disagree. Plus, it doesn't help you sell tats in person. But I made it as easy and quick as possible, but I do go into a lot of background knowledge, like, why is watercolor the medium of tattooing? Why isn't all the old flash and colored pencil and crayon and all these things? Why didn't they paint in acrylic? Why didn't they paint in oils, right? Oils were around long before, colored pencils.
Totally.
Right? Like, obviously, the Spalding and all the production flash colored pencil, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason, right? Watercolor is the only medium that, through using something transparent, known as water, we can blend from fully saturated color with a soft gradient all the way to nothing. Literally not replicable without adding texture or anything like that. That smoothness, you cannot do it with any other medium except for watercolor. Even gouache, which is a type of watercolor, it's a little harsher. That blend isn't quite so smooth, and gouache is too opaque. So although I paint in gouache too, my flash is generally in watercolor, because if I stain underneath to mimic skin tone, again, to give the client a good perspective on what this would look like in skin, it translates directly. The watercolor is a little translucent, so it's going to mix with the stain that's underneath it, and it's, like, imagine somebody like, my wife's Mexican, right? Like, I could paint something with purple, but that purple, the way the purple would look on me is not the way it's going to look like in her skin.
Right.
But if I painted it in watercolor, but I use a dark stain underneath, I would have a more accurate representation of, like, this is the way the purple would look in skin this dark, because they're both transparent and they layer. It's almost like using the multiply function on your iPad. That makes sense,
because the acrylic would just sit on top regardless, whereas the watercolor is sitting kind of in it.
Yes. And so you're like, oh, there's a method to the madness. That's why we use watercolor, and like, you can stain the sheet. And so in the course, I even like, do you own masking fluid or Frisket?
I do not. I think I do. I think I bought some a couple years ago. I saw my friend Irvin using it, and it blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I ever used it, but I wanted to use it. I've like masked stuff with masking tape, but you can paint it on, you can peel it off afterwards. It's awesome.
So yes, so that's what I do in the course. Like, I prefer masking fluid because it's really fun to use and easy. But I'm like, look, you have masking tape at home.
Yeah.
You have and when I cut out my designs, I just use a pocket knife, or whatever. And I'm like, dude, you literally, it's not that complicated. It's just, you have to start.
Yep.
You have to start. This is as close to training wheels as we can get. It's not fake skin.
Right.
Fake skin is not the answer to start experimenting artistically. It's on the page.
Yeah. And especially if you want to be a tattoo artist, you have to kind of do some art prior to becoming a tattooist. When you're just hopping straight to skin without any knowledge of how to get it in, you're skipping the whole step, the whole part that your ego requires. You want to call yourself an artist, you have to kind of paint a little bit,
Yes. So that was the goal. And we're launching it this week. So
you're going to do are you going to do it with someone else through an app, or is it going to be on your website, or how are you doing it?
It's a separate, so I've been like working on all this stuff in private.
Yep.
But I'm launching my own podcast, and it's kind of like this umbrella for all people that are like me, that aren't afraid to nerd out on tattooing. And I do have something against people teaching tattooing online. This would never be anything like that. But I do believe that a rising tide raises all boats. And so where I'm going to be sharing like biohacks that have helped me a lot, because our life is very unique as tattooers. So it's all under this umbrella called the upgraded tattooer. So upgraded is, as it might sound cheesy outside of the tattoo world, but it's very commonly used in the biohacking world, which is one I'm a part of. So they'd be like, this is the upgraded way to do intermittent fasting, or like, this is how you upgrade your mitochondria or whatever. So it's called the upgraded tattooer. And so this is all being launched. It's like, I've taken many an online course, because that's just who I am. I'm a nerd.
Right.
So I took a course on Procreate. I took, Steph Bastian's course was similar to that. I took a realism watercolor course online.
That's cool.
These types of things. So this is all under the umbrella of the upgraded tattooer. So technically it's running through that. There's all this back end software stuff, just like, however you're doing this.
Right.
Like, you don't just hit record on a Windows. You need all this software and all this crazy. If people could even see all these cables and stuff.
I know. I do a good job in hiding it and making it look humble, but It's kind of crazy.
And it's not cheap either. It's crazy. Like it has been a labor of love of staying up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. My wife pulled like 4 or 5 all-nighters last week editing video and
Oh
stuff.
shit, she's helping you edit video?
Yeah, that's like where, so my wife has, majority of our marriage stays home. She's a musician.
Uh-huh.
And so that's where like when it comes to digital stuff, I have like very little patience.
Interesting. It's interesting where you're like, where that lies, your focus. Like you could take the online course, but then sitting down editing, you're like, oh.
It's so overwhelming. I don't know.
It's interesting what can like bring us in and keep our focus and what can't, I guess, you know?
Yeah, I can paint for 12 hours without ever looking up or going to the bathroom. But the second I need to I'm like, how do I add my signature to this email? And it doesn't work. I'm just like, I have like 30 seconds worth of patience for that. And my wife's a saint when it comes to those types of things. And so she's been doing all that end, learning how this works. And we...
That's awesome.
Educating ourselves on how this stuff works and really like, how can we get this out to as many people for as little money? You know, again, like I said, it's not my retirement plan. But
it's a cool contribution to tattooing. And when people come to ask you a question, you're like, hey, you want my time? Here's my time. Here's my answers. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of bless the walk-in wannabe apprentice with something. And if they, I mean, who knows? Maybe they go and they watch it and they start painting. They come back in a year and it's like, oh shit, that's kind of cool.
Well, what I did is those people that had asked about learning to become a tattooer.
Yeah.
I said, I would like to pick your brain if that's cool, because I want to be able to help people exactly like you. And then they're beta testing it right now. So they got a free login. So the course is free for them.
So they're kind of giving you notes like, hey, I didn't like this part, or I have extra questions that maybe aren't, you know, in there.
Yeah. The course, like we also have a community that will be launched, or it is technically right now, but nobody can find it online yet.
It's just through them. Is it like a Discord thing, or how are you doing it?
No, it's through an actual like an engine of some kind that helps launch courses. Again, it's above my freaking pay grade.
Yeah.
All I know is I had this information up here and I enjoy writing. So like, you know, like I wrote out all the curriculum and stuff and in regards to what these people wanted to learn. And, you know, some of it stuff I'm like, man, I'm not going to get too into the weeds. To take the whole course is about 3 hours. I provide the design, and it's a design and people are welcome to tattoo it. They have my permission. It's like loud and clear. Like you can tattoo this, like make money off of it, blah, blah, blah. But the design was chosen specifically because there's a lot of places they could mess up with it still looking good, because it's a girl with dark black hair. So they get to practice a million blends in the hair. You know how doing girl hair is, right? Especially when it's all tricked out.
Yeah.
So they get to practice over and over. Then they have areas where it's just solid fill color, where they're just practicing washes. Then there's areas where they get to mask off. Everything's
they got contour of the nose. It's like, ooh, that's where it really... Yeah.
They make their own skin tone using just those 5 colors. I show people how to make their own stain using the dirty rinse water. We mask off areas. I teach people what you would use gum arabic powder or liquid for, because I use it. These like cool little tricks that aren't getting too into the weeds, like, but they're using actual watercolor that's light fast, and they're learning the attributes of it and really understanding this thing. They're not just like, this works. Like Radiant, like when you paint with Radiant, you're like, I don't know what this stuff is, but it's like transparent. It doesn't cover my black and it just works. And then you find out it's not light fast and that you can't like edit it after the fact.
So do you have a date that this is launching?
I mean, honestly, like as soon as I get the feedback.
Here's what we'll do. When it launches, we'll put this podcast out. So it's out right now. You can get it right now.
At this very second.
Yeah, it happened.
It's called the 5 Color Fundamentals Watercolor Course.
Very cool.
And it's less than $100.
Cool.
I say it's less than a shop minimum. And And then we actually have a whole segment. The way it starts off is I literally went to an art store and I had no idea what they were going to have there. And I was like, I guarantee we can find what we need without doing this deep freaking research on like all this stuff. People are making it so complicated. And I'm like, they're like, what red is that? It's like, it's cadmium red. It's like one of the most basic ones, you know. It's like that and alizarin crimson are like the most common reds used in watercolor. And like, what yellow is that? It's cad yellow, you know. And I did like some deep research on, because there are brands that I don't use, but they might be at someone's local art store, or they don't have a local art store and they're going to have to order it online. So I give them like all these different brands that all contain those same pigments we were talking about earlier.
That's cool.
So it's like every single one of these, except for yellow, you're not really going to find diarylide yellow, which is our gold, pigment yellow 83, I believe. You're not going to find that in paint form, really. Okay. It's just, I don't know why it's not really commonly found in paints, but you will find pigment yellow 74, which is our canary. So anyway, I try and do all this with the idea of like, when you learn this watercolor, yeah, I guess you could learn it if you don't want to be a tattooer or you aren't currently a tattooer, but really this is to guide tattooers. And it's like, well, why do I go into color theory in here, right? Like, why did I only pick 5 colors? Not just to keep it cheap, but I'm like...
Well, there's a lot of, like, well-accomplished tattooers could benefit from this, you know?
Like, have you ever been in a situation where you're like, oh, crap, I forgot to put out brown? Or I forgot to put out...
Yeah. Brown I kind of make every time I tattoo. I just tap back and forth between...
So there you go, right? But, like, if you've never done that...
It might blow someone's mind. They're like, you could just make brown. Holy shit. Which is the easiest color to make. Every color makes brown.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. I actually just showed that. I go, we'll make brown by mixing purple and yellow, and we'll make brown by mixing...
Well, I caught when you said the rinse cup water. I'm like, that makes sense. You know?
Yeah,
totally.
It's awesome. And then you realize, like, wow, I made it out to be this crazy thing. And it is...
but what may be commonplace for us might be magic to fucking, you know...
Right. It is a freaking dragon that needs to be slain. Like, it's no easy task, but it's a heck of a lot easier to experiment on the page and then feel confident going into your tattoos and your designs. Yeah. And being like, that didn't work, you know, and then the alternative of like, hey, let me do this inferior design on your skin because I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, you might be, again, when you're watching a pro, it's supposed to look easy, right? Mm-hmm. But we can try funky things on the skin because we've tried funky things on the paper. We can be a little loose in the tattoo because we've fucking painted a lot, you know, like we've tattooed a lot. And so when you do something a lot, you become proficient at it, you know? I think people see people proficient and they think that like, that's the way. Like, again, I don't know. I think it's cool you're going into like the color blending and color theory and not just the shortcut. The actual understanding is really cool, you know, and very valuable.
Right. Because like otherwise people are just going to get stuck on like, well, which red do I buy? Do I buy the Scarlet Radiant or do I buy Persimmon or do I buy this?
Right.
I don't know what all the colors are. But, you know, just to say one more thing about that. One thing I started to realize, because the younger generation, they all want to be artists. They don't want to be tattooers. And I work with a couple of guys that haven't been tattooing as long as me, and they're a little younger than me. So they're like more on that. They're more into like the JD Crow, you know, it's new to them, right? For us, it was like kind of more old hat, like when we started, like the geckos and the wizards and stuff like that. But for them, they're like, this is sick. The Ozzy Osbourne type of tat, right?
Yeah. Well, that's like the 90s and 2000s is kind of their 80s, you know? And for some reason, I always try to trace shit back too far. Like, I want to find the origin. Like, I'm more into like, you know, like Ben Corday and shit. Like, I want to find the OG of the thing, not the oh, this is the new. I want the old, you know.
But I wanted to say that something interesting when I pay attention to, when I hear the conversations of these younger tattooers, they talk about that guy's paintings. That guy's paintings are insane. That guy, dude, his tattoos are whatever, but this guy's paintings are insane. Did you see that last painting that so-and-so put out? Like, and we do it too, but we just don't even think about it. It's like, And then half of the people that can really paint, like they're very creative and do some very impressive paints, like they don't even tattoo like that. It's almost like they get their rocks off on the paper and then they just like do more normal or mundane tattoos, you know?
Yeah.
Like
well, that's kind of like why, like, one of the reasons Higgs kind of stopped tattooing. It's like, you know, he's an artist and like, you know, the paper ain't talking back, and you could kind of do anything on the paper that you're kind of confined by the constraints of tattooing, you know? So I think it's kind of funny too. Like it's like tattooers kind of becoming PE teacher of sport. Like, you know, like you, it really, it sucks, dude. But it fucking is. It's like those who can't do, like, I don't know, man.
Teach, and those who can't teach gym.
Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of becoming that, I think, where there's people that want to do tattoo art because they can't sell art. You know, it's a way that you can kind of like be a commercial artist that's not commercially successful and be somewhat successful by like bootlegging others' art on tattoos, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like, I don't know. I'm not sure I was going with that. I kind of lost track with that.
I would ask you a question which I know the answer to, is like, what's really interesting is you see right now, I there are a couple people I can think of off the top of my head. They're kind of like leaving tattooing behind to do painting.
Exactly.
Full-time.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to take it where
That's
you left
where
off
you
for
were
now.
going.
Thank
huh?
you.
Yes.
Okay. Laid it up. I caught it. So
yeah. Another alley-oop. I'm just returning the favor from yesterday.
Exactly. So yeah. So with that being said, like, you know, those who can't like sell the art, sell tattoo art, and then they're so into art, and but tattoo is like the vehicle that sells the art. But if their art, they're quick to stop tattooing. Almost every tattoo artist, if they could sell art, if they were too busy selling art, sell tattoos, they'd pick art over tattoos. Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing. You see it like a lot in the pandemic onward. You see it with ceramics a lot in tattooing. There's a handful of tattooers who went that route, and it's fucking cool. They're making some with their hands, you know? And it becomes this whole new thing, you know? Which everything's already been done. Like Ed Hardy already did it, like everything. But it's cool to see that happening, you know? And then we talked about a tattooer yesterday that was like an artist and they had something to offer tattooing. They became a tattooer and they were just too busy selling art to do tattoos. And so they do their art. And it has a feeling of tattoo, but it's not constrained by what a tattoo needs to be bound by to make a solid tattoo. And I've even seen, like, you know, one of the earlier ones I remember this when I started tattooing. Do you remember Parlor Tattoo Prints?
Yes.
And she would do
the
like
Vietnamese chick.
Yeah, and she would do like, it was like always like a sailor guy with a beard with a little tiny face tat, you know, or it was like but it was like
Victorian crap.
And it kind of like plagued our industry because it was like they were bringing in this like crazy paintings and it was like, that's not totally tattoo flash, but like, yeah, I guess. And then they got better and better and better and started doing movie characters and they're selling a shitload of prints. And I think that they kind of found their way into tattooing, but I think they kind of screwed their way right back out of tattooing because they didn't need tattooing. You know?
Why would you do the 10x more difficult, stressful?
I guess I'd put them in more of a tattoo themed artist. You know what I mean? That makes sense. Yeah, I'll stick with that.
Tattoo themed. Yeah, I mean, gosh, you still see that girl. I don't know. This is like the one language I'm really ignorant on how I would pronounce her name, but it was like Chu Yen Din. Okay. I believe her name is, or something. That's how like a Chinese person would pronounce it, but I know that's not how you pronounce that Vietnamese name. But the boxer girl, that one boxer guy that's facing sideways that has the olive branch under both sides with the mustache. I mean, dude, he's still tattooed. Like,
is that like his blue tattoo thing on it? Like usually has blue tattoos.
I think so. Yeah.
But it's like if tattoo artists want clients to walk in picking their shit, they got to put their shit out online too. They got to make art too. You can't really be like, I mean, that's why you said like the rising tide raises all boats. It's like clients are bringing in other people's art because that tattoo shop doesn't fucking have art, you know?
Dude, that is freaking it. Okay, so this is a super hot take, and it's anybody that watches this will probably be offended. I am like so alone in this, okay? And I know I'm alone, and everybody thinks I'm crazy for having this opinion. I don't have a single sheet of flash in my shop that is not mine or not old. I don't have anybody that's like my peer. I have a stack in my house of paintings I've traded with people. It's like this tall.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure your stack is even taller, right? I don't have anybody's crap on my wall that's a peer. And this is why. Because I feel like one time I bought a print and I was like, I guess I'll hang. That's like what tattooers do, right? And I hung it in my shop, and then like somebody was like looking around at my flash, and they like looked at my flash, and then they like looked at that, and they're like, dude, I want that. And I was like, oh. What that means is that guy's crap is better than anything I'm putting out. And I'm not saying that people should have blinders on and be like, hey, only look at my stuff because I'm only this good. I don't mean it in that way. It's with what you just said.
Yeah.
If my stuff isn't so sick on the wall that people are getting it tattooed, then it shouldn't be freaking up there. And so I see a lot of people open tattoo shops and they're like, all right, I know what to do. I buy the Sailor Jerry book and I tear out the sheets, and then I buy the Ben Corday book and I tear out the sheet. And they're like, that's great.
But like the shop starter kit. Yeah.
Well, the shop starter kit is what's that freaking shop in San Rafael? Spider Murphy's.
Oh, that's big, dude.
They get the Spider Murphy's book, and it's in every tattoo shop. And I'm like,
dude, it's crazy like how that thing is, style is endured. Like I feel like people don't really, not a lot of people tattoo like that or paint like that, but that shit is hot forever. Like just like
20-year-old flash
dude,
books, like
I just had a client on Friday the 13th say, hey, I don't know what's cool with like if you tattoo other people's stuff. And I was like, well, I'd rather try to sell you all my stuff or my version of that stuff. But to be frank, like if you come in, you're like, I want to get this done. I don't want to go to the person that does it. I'm going to get this done. Like you hire me to bootleg the tattoo, and it's between bootlegging the tattoo and not tattooing. I'm your bootlegger. I will fucking copy that tattoo. Yeah. But I'm going to try really fucking hard to sell you my version of it, or find the origin of it and trace that one, or sell you on something else. But you know, I don't want to complain, and I don't want you to not, I mean, if I had to pick, I'm picking a fucking tattoo. That's what I'm doing. I'm tattooing, you know? But he knew about that book. And and it's just like, it's published, it's there, it's prevalent, and it's relevant, you know? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and they did, to go back, like, why do people pick that? Well, it feels special to them. They see the old stuff and they're like, is that Ben Karnofsky behind you?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Like, I love that.
That's an early one.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I have a bunch of stuff.
Crescent board, nib, red and green.
Yeah, I would get
He doesn't like that sheet. He's like, oh, that's some old shit. I'm like, that's a good shit.
Dude, you're my favorite, man.
I
sing your praises everywhere.
Yeah, I love that sheet.
But that is what I would get.
Yeah.
I would never, sorry, but I am not interested in a Spider Murphy's design. That doesn't feel cool to me. That feels freaking cool. And again, that's just one man's opinion. It's like saying what makes coffee good. It's the one that you want to drink, right? And
the thing is, like, I think the thing why that Spidey Murphy stuff is kind of popular, I feel like it's color tattoos that appeal to people who don't like color. It's like dark color, you know, it's like very muddy, very muted. It's like, I want to get color, but I don't really want color. And it feels like dark. It has a look to it, and I think it stands out from the pack. I think, you know, whether you like it or not, I'm not a huge fan, but I respect it. And it has a look that commands respect. You know, it has a presence. You see it and you know what it is. And that's what every artist wants for their work. Every artist wants their work to be seen. They want to be recognized. They want people to know about it. Regardless how you feel about Spidey Murphy's, you see one of those sheets, you know exactly where it came from. And I can't say that for my work a lot of the time. you know?
Sure, of course. And like I'm just saying that is my opinion, that this is the kind of tattoo I would rather get. I love this like we have that eagle on the wall, that Spalding one with the claw right up here.
Right.
I love that one. I've
But
tattooed a lot.
I just want the classic thing too.
I want that thing.
I don't want the bells and whistles. I want it to be done now.
I have to freaking tip my hat to the person that painted 150 freaking immaculate 11 by 14s, stained everything, drew it from scratch, made it all kinds of fancy. Do you know how many blends are probably on every one of that sheet? Because it goes from line to black shading to color to skin on everything.
And pre-iPad, you pull that shit out to tattoo it, you put on a light box, it's all the same tone. It's just mud.
Yeah.
You try to photocopy it, fuck, good luck, dude. Like, not easy to replicate that shit. There's no skin breaks. It's just fucking...
No, and I listened to a podcast with one of those dudes, and they said that the way they got that look was they were like one of the first shops to seek the roots, not the fruits. They're like, where did the Sailor Jerry wolf come from? And they found that thing that now we all know it's commonplace, right? The wolf poison poster.
Yeah.
But they like found stuff like that, and they're like, oh, so let's like do our own version. Let's pretend we were Sailor Jerry. And we found this postcard or we found this advertisement and we saw, hey, this could be a tattoo design, and they like did it like that. And I think that's a lot of people would be really well served right now.
That's a good one.
They started doing that.
Shout out to Chris's page, Tattoo Origins. I've pulled from that page, and I've already done that same cowboy skull a million times, but be able to trace from the original movie poster and then just come up with my own route on how I would articulate that design and come to something completely new with like the same intentions, the same application. It's pretty cool. It's cool to kind of like do both, let me like trace the Sailor Jerry. Let me trace the postcard Sailor Jerry got it from. Okay, what's my version? And then it's like, okay, here's the something like something I kind of stole and then something that I have to kind of give back. It's kind of cool. You never know.
Yeah, it's like one big we're playing detective, right, at some points, and Carmen Neeson as well is freaking awesome with that stuff. But one of my things that keeps me really guessing these days, or like keeps me really interested, being a student of tattoo history, and I think all of us old school guys or whatever. It's funny being like, I'm only been tattooing like 15 years and I'm the old
we're the
guy.
new, but now it's kind of
we're kind of getting
a lot of guys we looked up to are kind of so.
They're painters now.
Yeah.
But I was going to say the old designs where it's some inside joke or something and we don't get it. Like we were talking about this design the other day at the shop. There are, I believe, 2 designs by Sailor Jerry. One is, I might be mixing 2 designs in my head, but one is a duck, like the Humi duck, but he's like, he's like stepping on like these
hot
like red...
rocks.
Hot rocks.
Yeah.
And then there's the other one that shows the pyramids of Giza and it has a palm tree and it says hot rocks.
Yep.
So I'm like, what is that? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. I know exactly the designs.
Yeah, they're awesome. And I'm always gravitated towards those designs that have a lot of like skin showing. And those are both kind of designs like that, like skulls. And the only thing I can find out that I've been able to figure out it could be is there's the name of a what's that band with Mick Jagger? Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
There's a Rolling Stones album called Hot Rocks, I believe. And I'm like, if that is the reference, why would Sailor Jerry turn that into a tattoo? Like, was it some inside joke between him and his friends? Like, oh, Hot Rocks.
Maybe it was a commonly said thing, at the time.
Slang. No freaking clue. It's just like, there's that dude on Instagram, and his name is Should Worry.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like completely taken out of context because the old design is it has the eyeball, and then it says I should worry.
Yeah.
And I should worry. I looked it up one time. I'm like, what does that mean? And it turns out that's where we get Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine when he's saying, what, me worry? It's this like roaring 20s, like kind of like crude slang. And it's like, I don't give a blank, you know? It's like, people be like, dude, you've had 2 drinks. Like, don't you dare drive. And they'd be like, I should worry. But we don't even use those words anymore. Yeah. And it's so cool how like that's still, people are still tattooing it like that. That dude, I'm assuming he didn't know that it's I should worry is the whole phrase.
Right.
And his Instagram name's always been should worry as far as I can remember. Can't remember your name. Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
But it's like,
how interesting.
We're it's out of context because that was so long ago and our culture shifts so fast. And,
yeah, it gets lost.
We get to play detective with some of these designs and be kind of at the end of that, and that maybe that's your sign. You should make a I should worry flash sheet and make a bunch of money off of it. But anyway, I feel like I've been talking quite a while. Wouldn't you say?
It's been a good morning.
That's a nice way of saying yes.
That's the modern should worry.
Yeah. You should worry, buddy.
It's been a good morning. Oh shit, time to wrap it up. Good morning. Yeah, no, we should get to the shop, make some tattoos. That's what we do.
Yeah, I'm actually planning to paint you a whole sheet of knockoff cartoons and Disney characters, like really bad folk art versions. They're not bad, they're good, but
badass, all hits.
It's gonna be sick, and it's gonna live on the walls of Unite and Win. So.
I love that. I like having like split sheets and guest artists, and I like the shop walls kind of tell a story where like you can see who's kind of been there, and it's kind of neat. I like the variety as much as I really like a shop that has like a defined look. I feel like sometimes if you don't like that look, then you came and you've kind of seen everything you need to see. But if you have a tribal thing next to a color thing, next to a classic thing, next to a meme thing, there really is something for everybody. And we're able to sell tattoos to people who don't really like tattoos pretty commonly in that way, because it's just a fucking mess of imagery. Something is going to be attracted to somebody, you know? It finds you or I mean, oftentimes, man, you'd be surprised. I mean, you get it. You work in a shop, but people come in for one thing and something speaks to them on the wall.
They get something really elegant, and then the next time they're like, yeah, that really clunky, like poorly drawn chrysanthemum flower on that 1975 Spalding and Rogers sheet has just been calling my name this whole time.
It's meant for me.
You're gonna get that. That's awesome.
It was my grandma's favorite flower. That they drew it for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes they find you.
Should we go paint or?
Yes. This is a good one, dude. Round 2, first returning guest. That's a big deal.
Well,
no one wants to come back.
The crowd goes wild. Yeah. they've gotten their Wayne Fredrickson tattoo.
Yeah,
they need to move on.
Yeah.
But,
all right. Let's go work.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
All right. Love you, dude. Bye.
Love you too. Thank you for watching. Next week, episode 29. Mystery guess. I don't even know, dude. I gotta pull something out of my back pocket to make this, to keep this train chugging along and keep these weekly uploads coming out. It's been really cool. It's been really fun. You guys know talking is what I do best. So I've been having a blast sitting down with friends right here in this little special room. So see you next week.